what happens when you combine Serbian arthouse, and the skin I live in with hentai? That's right. Guro, as it's called on specialized sites for fans of animated entertainment. Today, we're going to step into the truly dark side of Japanese animation, which no one should watch. This isn't just anime girls versus tentacles, which can also be classified as guro. No, today I'll talk about a couple of the most inhumane, cruel, and completely psyche-breaking hentai projects that no one should watch. I'm not joking. No one. Subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to not miss new videos. If you're a fan of the guro genre who has seen what I'm going to talk about today and are rushing to write a comment like it's a masterpiece, then accept my condolences. If you're as shocked as I am that this genre even exists, then sit back and relax, we're starting. Guro is a Japanese pseudo-Anglicism that describes a movement in literature and art in Japan that emerged in the 1920s. Guro is characterized by scenes that elicit disgust in most people, strange, absurd, and beyond the usual conventions. Typically, these are erotic scenes with dismembered or disemboweled bodies, bloodshed, cannibalism, amputations, perverse murders, necrophilia, plastic surgery. These themes are often combined and supplemented with a fantastic setting. Guro emerged in Japan in the 1920s during the economic depression. It was associated with decadent Western influence and urban culture. Guro was firmly associated with the Tokyo district of Asakusa, especially after the release of Yasunari Kawabata's book The Dancing Girl of Aizu, 1929. The movement was also taken up by writers such as Adagawa Rampo. In his novel The Black Lizard, 1934, the detective Akechi is challenged by a mysterious woman known as the Black Lizard, and their confrontation eventually leads the hero to her museum. The museum houses not only outstanding works of art but also human specimens collected from different parts of the world, living in cages or turned into living wax figures. Sada Abe's case, 1936, who strangled and castrated her lover, became the calling card of Guro for many years. By the 1940s, Japanese militarism had halted the development of this genre and virtually eliminated it. Public interests revolved around military events, and the demonstration of perverse erotic tastes was considered unpatriotic. However, after the end of World War II, gloomy memories of Japan's defeat and decadent moods in society led to a flowering of hedonism and a new wave of interest in modern entertainment. The Guro trend was particularly strong in anime and manga. And the first project on the list will be Euphoria, Intoxicated by Passion. It is a hentai based on an adult game by ClockUp where one guy and 6 girls find themselves locked in a room covered in white walls and multiple monitors in the center, without knowing how they got there. It reminds one of the beginning of the movie Saw or perhaps the manga Wolf game. The room where the characters woke up turns out to be a place for perverted torture, as a voice from the speakers demands flawless execution of certain game rules, or else they will die. The guy is the key, and the girls are the locks. Following this logic, the guy needs to unlock each lock. Each participant has an explosive collar on their neck. The game lasts exactly 5 rounds, and during each one, the hero has to choose a girl within a given time and take her to a private room, do some very ungentlemanly things while considering additional inputs from the game master, then return and repeat the process, selecting a new victim each time. If all the rules are strictly followed and the 5 rounds are completed, the host promises the players their coveted freedom. Which, honestly, is not very trustworthy considering the circumstances. As well as the demonstrative execution for disobedience in the first episode. And what do we have? If we ignore the bomb collars and electric chairs, we get a regular hentai. With a very good concept. Okay, in adult anime, turn on the Guro mode. A cruel, bloody, sometimes stomach-churning title. That warns us on almost every portal, not for the faint of heart. Especially if your limit of anime cruelty is shows like Akame ga Kill. If you're about to write Party of the Dead, hands off the keyboard. I said hands off. And while at first it may seem like a hentai with horror elements, gradually you notice how disgust for visualized scenes gains momentum. You know, you can talk a lot about screen madness, but episodes 2 and 5. Guys, some of what I've seen will stay with me forever. This time I won't rate it by the level of cruelty, because everything I've told you today is beyond any reasonable criticism. Moving on to the next, Time of Temptation. And if the previous anime was still somewhat acceptable, the story about a detective. It won't just stay with you forever, it will break your mental health to pieces and send you to live among other mentally unstable people who dared to watch it. Anyway, to the plot, the main character of the hentai is a detective working at a private detective agency. Things are going very badly, and alcoholism has become an integral part of his life. Every night he dreams of the rape and torture of an unknown girl. Soon, our hero takes on the investigation of a rather convoluted case. He and his assistant mom one arrive at an abandoned mansion and begin the investigation. As it turns out, a young MILF with 2 daughters lives in the mansion. The rather strange family has no internet or phone, so it's impossible to call anyone. But the mother, as the head of the family, offers the young detective to stay overnight. The boy agrees to such a luxurious offer and stays. At times, they will show hentai scenes for the target audience. Not the most pleasant ones, but okay. And these scenes will be nothing more than dreams about the eldest daughter that the main character periodically sees. The detective sets himself the goal of saving the girl from the dreams, as he senses imminent danger. And you better not know what it entails. Throughout the narrative, you will already have to familiarize yourself with various ways of humiliation over people. And I would say that in this work there are unexpected plot twists, which ultimately unfold the narrative in a completely different direction. Here you have occultism, and the sickest body horror I have ever seen, perverted to the scale of the universe. The desire to tell more than I already have will not lead to anything good, but on the contrary, will evoke a stable feeling of disgust and discomfort. And I watched this crap. Of course, some enlightened connoisseurs of guro will find a grain of morality and perhaps stretch it out into a whole review in defense of this work, but I'll say this, it's an unhealthy thing, and on top of that, it's hentai, meaning it was created for carnal pleasures. Spoiler, I figured out that the essence of it is that a very clever occultist seeks immortality through rituals that are very dangerous for those around her. And what's the moral? Okay, I'll disassociate myself from all the occultists I know. Good hentai with a plot, damn it. If there are still any viewers among mine who still want to watch this, I'll say for sure, I don't recommend watching episode 4 if you value your mental health. Overall, if you're thinking of watching this, you better not. I've seen a lot of different horrors, but I've never seen anything like this. And I recommend listening to me. Yes, I know there's a manga that's always one step ahead. I know there are much worse projects that will remain just strokes on the white pages of volumes. And I'm somewhat glad that there's a small shred of common sense that prevented many sick works from getting their adaptations. By the way, guro is a movement originated in Japan in the early 20th century. It was strange to assume that it would not find its place in manga and anime over time. So yes, there are hentai horrors, and I am familiar with them. Urosokidoji, Legend of the Overfiend is a cult and very brutal thing that made hentai jump to an international level. But what sets Urosokidoji apart from the projects I mentioned? It's the plot and the realistically acceptable limit of violence. By the way, here's the plot of Urosokidoji. If you like it, you can watch it, but I warn you right away, this is an old anime and the animation is also old and not to everyone's taste. The world consists of 3 kingdoms, humans, beastmen, and demons. And among the demons, there is a legend that every 3,000 years, a super demon will be born. He will be born, and then the 3 kingdoms will unite into one eternal empire, but all life in them will be destroyed. Many residents of other worlds live in the human world. One of them, a Monojayaku from the Beastmen Kingdom, came to our world 300 years ago to prevent the universal apocalypse. But his mission turned out to be incredibly difficult, as the monstrous minions of evil do not sleep, and even among the young residents of Tokyo, it is very difficult to discover the super demon. The warning not for the faint of heart can be applied to the anime Urosokidoji, while for the projects mentioned above, a note in the style of not recommended. I don't understand who could come up with something like this. Everyone decides for themselves, and if you are truly ready to test your strong nerves, then please proceed. In all other cases, watch worthwhile anime, enjoy them, and gain wisdom from them. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.